Hello and welcome to High or Lows, a 5th ed Dungeons & Dragons adventure set in the world of Toraz. I'm Philip Martin, your Dungeon Master, and with me is Daniel Fletcher.
Question everything.
Next up, we've got Laurie Crawford.
Except for this statement.
In the middle, we've got Ash Mireya.
I am here.
Then we've got Mimbo Wang.
I may be here.
And last up is Lizzie McPherson.
I'm friends with idiots. Hey, lovelies.
Previously on High or Lows, the group had just made it to the outskirts of Homestead, and they were greeted by a guard posted to this entrance. The mining cart rail ended just before where the guard was stationed, but he came out to help unload the cart into the wheelbarrow. They had a bit of a chat while all this was happening, but all of a sudden, from the darkness, two hulking figures moved towards the group and attacked. These enemies proved to be slow, but tough and very heavy-hitting, as they tested the crew's ability to work with others in the heat of combat. Thistle, Baracus, Callum, and Giznat, the Street Steel Defender, worked together to stop the enemy progressing, whilst Tweak, Chuck, and Candle joined the firing line, which consisted of two goblins using heavy-mounted crossbows, a tiefling and a half-elf wielding shortbows, and led by a tabaxi named Subtle Wind. With the combined might of our protagonists and the defenders of Homestead, they were eventually able to put the monsters down, but not before suffering many heavy blows. And this is where we'll begin, with the group just out of combat and speaking to the leader of the defender group, Subtle Wind. You lots sure know how to fight then?
So do you guys by the looks.
We're not quite on your level, but we know how to hold our own.
We've had some practice down here.
Yeah, I imagine you have. It's not safe. Not even the way you've come these days. We don't really send people down there anymore. But we keep it well guarded. Alright then. Candle speaks up and says, we should probably get on going to the church. She was who sent me out looking. I didn't exactly find what she was looking for, so I should probably go check in. And Subtle Wind says, she sent you, did she? All right then, yeah, just go on. We'll keep guard here. If you've got to check in, she'll know what to do. All right then. Oh, come on, guys. We'll get you all checked in. This is still, we still got a little way to go. It's not too far, though.
Well, let's go grab that wheelbarrow and head in.
All right, yeah, I suppose we'll figure out somewhere. You just carry it around, I suppose. I'm sure someone will want it.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff in there too.
I'm sure they could use it down the farm or something.
Those heavy crossbows are ingenious. I lean down to inspect the design and make. And...
We'd have to hop up. They're on boxes.
I will hop up there.
Yeah, goblins are sort of sitting on sort of makeshift chairs on these boxes with these heavy mounted crossbows, just sort of that they can use to fire.
I'll take 5-10 minutes studying it, if that's okay.
Sure. You can roll me a. Suppose that'd be, I don't know, what intelligence check.
16.
Sure. Look, it's just mounted. It's mounted in such a way that the goblins are able to use it, which is it's just a heavy crossbow. It does mean that it has to be pointed in a sort of specific direction for them to be able to use, but that does allow a small creature to use a heavy weapon.
Oh. And all the mechanical elements of the crossbow, just how they sort of pull and take the slack and the levers and how they operate.
It's a pretty basic heavy crossbow, like about as basic as a heavy crossbow could come. Like the only real bit of intricacy is the mount, which is has a decent swivel to it, but really does limit its range quite effectively in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just pointed down this tunnel, and they can pretty much aim anywhere within this tunnel, but they can't aim down the other tunnel, which is where you guys are heading towards Homestead.
You think you could do something like that with Giznap?
Yes, I think I could. The propulsion mechanisms and this, obviously standard for a crossbow, but I'm thinking of ways to make it smaller and more compact. Something that could fire from the hip accurately.
You like crossbow?
I do. I like this crossbow a lot.
It's a good crossbow.
Did you design it?
No. We just fire 'em.
Well, you might want to practice. You did miss a few shots.
Well, we're not, we're not that good. We like to hit things a bit more.
Well, keep it up. Bless you.
No, these were rigged up by Bandan and Shognak.
Sognak.
Is that the name of the two goblins?
Oh, we are Chowder and Bucket. We just guards.
I have to meet this engineer.
Oh yeah, as I'd walk past it, I would pick up the knife that I threw last combat.
Yeah, you can pick it up. This is just be inside this dead plant creature.
I'm already covered in it, so no big deal.
Candle. Did I just hear you right? You'll take us halfway, and then you got your own duties to attend to.
I'll take you to Nari. She kind of runs the place. Well, she's head of the council with her husband Orion, but I don't think he made it. So she's gonna want to know. She's who sent me out looking for him.
If you can, and I'll kind of lean in and kind of say this only to Candle. If you can take his armor, I think you already have Orion's armor, and explain what may have happened, what may have befallen, and possibly, if you can, give us maybe a sit down with one of the higher ups, or maybe even this person at the church, just someone in power we can kind of talk to and maybe explain where we've been. It might go down a bit smoother, some of us that aren't from around here. I'll look over at Chuck.
I reckon you'll be all right. This'll help. Like, things aren't great, but you guys will. You'll find out soon enough. You'll be welcome enough here. Don't worry about it.
All good. Just thought I'd throw my precautions out before my feet. But I trust you.
All right. Well, you're going down you've been in these mining caves, which have been a combination of worked, but mostly just sort of just pretty rough tunnels with mining track laid down there, and various abandoned mining tunnels that the dwarves had built and abandoned long ago. When you got to this, it started becoming a little bit more worked stone after you left the end of the mining track, but it was still cave formation, just a little bit more smooth on the ground, like where they just sort of picked flat smooth stones to walk across and stuff. But as you walk going north again, it becomes eventually becomes a proper 20-foot sort of by 12-foot, fairly wide and tall tunnel. And there are even torches. Not everywhere, probably about every 40 feet. But this place is lit to a degree.
And I take it, is there like doors and stuff in the walls and like for obviously buildings behind? Well, not buildings, but just rooms essentially.
Not here.
I can't wait to have a good long rest. We've been walking for what seems forever.
Yeah, we certainly have covered a bit of distance.
And I think there'll be plenty more left.
As you do get to the end of this tunnel, though, you do see a couple of doors off to the side. They look fairly nondescript. And they are right before a bigger opening. And in this opening, you see a very large, one would almost say huge stone behemoth of a figure standing there, bigger statue. Generally dwarven in sort of build, but not dwarven.
That's a big ass statue.
You know who it is, Candle?
Nah, we don't know. We just found the place. We just call him Old Stony. He sort of watches over this, the main entrance, I suppose.
Does the statue resemble anything in that book that we collected with the dwarves, or any of the things that we saw in that last area with the
Do you have the Keen Mind feat?
I don't think I do. No.
Just roll me a history check then. For anyone, if you were because you were perusing the book a little bit, weren't you?
Yes, I was reading it. Yes.
Yeah.
Although it was in Dwarven.
Yeah, but you were looking for pictures and stuff.
Yes.
So give me a history check. See if you can remember.
History, you say?
I do say. Indeed, I do.
20.
You do remember. You do remember seeing a picture of this towards the back.
I think this was pointed out by Candle that they had something like this in the town.
Let me flip to the page.
We don't have it.
You left it. With
In my mind. Do I remember what the name of it he was, or?
Not really. You remember that there was a picture of it. There did seem to be some details on this, though. There was some dwarven specifics on this. Seemed to have a whole chapter about it.
Well, hopefully those dwarves have had a look at it and translated best they can.
Might be able to give old Bandan a look. He might be able to get a read on it, but we don't have it anymore, and he's probably not in town anyway.
Oh, he's a dwarf.
He's like me. He doesn't spend too much time in here, but he tends to hang out in the mushroom forest. I tend to hang out in other places.
The mushroom forest is so far away.
He does show up from time to time, though. Probably a little bit more than I do. Bringing wood and mushrooms and what from the outside.
He must be quite strong or quiet if he survives out there.
He's got a little bit of magic, just a little bit of dwarven rock magic and that sort of thing.
So, are we checking in, are we? Is it our first point of contact?
I'll give you a little bit of tour, I suppose. So this is Old Stony, and there's a path to the west. That'll take you to pretty much the old Tiefling Quarter. Although there is a little piece of the Tiefling Quarter. It's sort of... We're not racist, all right? There are some racist people, and tensions can get high. But in general, you're welcome, Brackus. You're welcome in town. It's just that sometimes, because of the old ways, tensions can get hot, and it's best that people found that some people would just have their own place to be.
What are exactly the old ways?
Well, the old ways, some people remember when no one knew each other. We all came from different places. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us. You're way too young to remember. You're only a little boy. Well, you're a man, but you're a boy.
Indeed.
I remember when I was a kid, hearing stories of horned folk and so forth, but they didn't come into our gnomish villages. Then, of course, every now and then somebody would come down to the goblins. Very rarely, though.
Yeah, and so we welcome everyone is kind of welcome as long as they're peaceful here. But the goblins and the tieflings and the like, tend to hang out in the Tiefling Quarter because it's a little bit more their style and more their liking, but they're welcome in town. It's just sometimes tensions can get a little bit high, but it's fine. Like we ain't. Not everyone is racist. Just some people.
Do you throw the odd stone at them as they pass by in the streets?
I don't. I don't live here.
If people do,
Sometimes it does happen.
Where do you live? You did mention you didn't live here before when we first met.
I kind of hang out. I tend to hang out in the Kobold area.
you're rather bohemian, aren't you?
It's not that I know how, I understand their ways. I know how to move around them. They're not a big problem for me.
Don't get me wrong. I do not think you are racist people. I don't know anything of your people, so I cannot make that conclusion. What I do know is that I have been many different places, many different towns, and come across many different people. And suffice to say, it is sometimes better to not be seen.
The odd rock gets thrown at you, I'd imagine, Maracus, here and there.
Here or there. Yes, indeed.
Well, he was thrown down here for little more than surviving.
Yes, and again, the man who does not see sees quite well.
I mean, you think that down here that everybody would be equal.
Kinda, but even as yourselves, our people still have stuff. We take care of our own, and we don't let people. We try not to make anyone fall too far behind, but we don't always have everything we need. So it's hard sometimes. So you gotta look after yourself a little bit, but you gotta play by the. You just gotta play nice, I suppose, as well.
Yes, I've found often the best way in sometimes is just through action rather than word. And let's see if my actions hold up in this place. What we've done in the past.
I reckon we'll be able to get you some time at the Tap and Bunkhouse until you settle in. They'll take you in. They'll just treat you like the other orphans. They'll be fine.
I can work with that.
We'll figure that out when we get there.
Okay. And so where do the more distinguished guests get to stay? Like me, for instance? Gnomes must have a high level in this place.
There's a few gnomes. One runs the library, I think. I don't really go there much. I think every now and then, like, I got picked up a potion from him. I mean, yeah, we can go there eventually. I still reckon we should go see Inari though. And like you see, like there's like little doors and stuff. Like people just sort of have taken up space wherever they can. Like there's I don't know how many there are. There's a few hundred. I'm technically part of here, but I don't have a normal place that I keep myself. I got a couple of spots where I keep some stashes, but that's about it.
So is there like a hierarchy in this area?
There's a council.
Tell us more about this council.
We had Nari and Ryan. Should we just sit by the statue here and just like, do you guys want to take a breath?
Sure.
All right. I mean, old Stoney, he likes to. Maybe he's listened to everything anyway. All right. So, Nari and Ryan are kind of the leaders here, but they set up the council. And the council's got old Bandan. He shows up for most of the meetings when he can anyway. You got Marjorie. She like runs the guards of sorts. You may have heard her. Give me an history check. Callum?
4.
You have not. Would anyone else have had runnings with the guards? Probably not. Maybe roll it with advantage.
3. So no.
No, you haven't heard of Marjorie.
When you say guards, you mean the guards in Virtue?
Yeah, but this would have been before your time. You can roll with disadvantage.
Could I do a roll?
Disadvantage.
Okay. And when we're rolling history?
Yeah, history.
Nope. Not me.
I got a 17 to my disadvantage. Yeah.
Okay. You have this flashback of when you got to town of this guard known as Mad Marjorie. And she was definitely she was rough but fair, and then she sort of just disappeared.
Okay.
What did you get, remember?
Yeah, don't worry. Not enough.
Yeah, she was an old human. Well, she wasn't that old when you knew her, but that was 20 years ago. And then well, you got Lamia and Eric. They kind of run the orphanage these days. And then you got Gilda. You're gonna have to deal with Gilda at some point in her whole family, but she's not to be completely trusted, but she's not evil either. But she's alright. She's funny sometimes.
And so, do these councilmen or women? Do they pass laws or legislative authority at all?
I don't really have too many laws here. Just like, don't be an asshole. Like, we sort of just take care of our own and whatnot. I don't know. There's not really too many laws so much. But it's normally a 7-person council, and they're obviously going to be down a person now, so they're probably going to try to find someone. But, like, we all got sent down here from up above. None of us want to be here. And it's like, what are you going to do? It's a prison, basically. But we don't have to be assholes about it.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to wonder how society functions down here. You know, the goblins are pretty cruel and nasty, but straightforward in their structure. And I mean, it was the person with the biggest club that often rules the area.
Still works that way in the Tiefling Quarter a little bit. Like, they got their own. They don't really trust on the council that much, as long as they keep it to their. It's fine though.
Well, they seem to still come to the defense of the place, so they're putting their own in when they have to.
Like, yeah, we all do. We all pitch in. You find out soon enough, but they're gonna want you to work for your cape.
As we should be. I mean, I'm quite happy. I don't want any freeloaders in my society.
You'd probably be the new emissaries.
I mean, that was half the reason we brought all this stuff in that wheelbarrow.
Yep. And if you're going for the new emissary spot, then that'll prove yourselves pretty well. If you just give us all that, we'll give them all that. I don't really get it, but I don't really need it.
What does the emissary do?
Go back to the chute and try to pick people up. But, like, there's usually a group of them. That's what Orion was. He'd take a few people out, take his group out. There was about 4 or 5 of them. I think he took 5 out this time, and himself, so it's 5 total.
I mean, as you'd know, we've already shown interest of not necessarily staying in this place. So I don't know if we'd do the emissary work per se, but if we set up where that forge was, we'd be fairly close to it, so it wouldn't be too far out of our way.
I suppose so.
And we would like to build more trade connections to this area.
So y'all want to start your own spot up, I suppose, from the sounds of things. You just want to, I mean, that should be all right, I suppose. There'd be work here if you want it.
I mean, it's limited resource down here, and I'm sure they've positioned themselves to some valuable resource. And we'd have valuable resource in our area, and of trade, we could really thrive down here. At least until we work our way out.
There's resources here, that's for sure. We haven't even gotten to town yet. You want to go to town?
Oh yes.
All right, let's keep walking then. So you keep walking down this tunnel. It's still about 20 feet wide, 12 feet high. Just walking. It sort of turns sort of sharply to the left. There are sort of occasional doors, pretty uniformly length, leading into different buildings, but they're all closed and fairly nondescript. Every now and then, they might be like a little basic decoration, like maybe like a nameplate or something like that. But otherwise, they're sort of fairly nondescript. As you guys keep on going in. And as you keep on going in, it does seem the light changes up ahead as it opens up into a large cavern. And as you look up, you notice that in the ceiling high up, probably 100 feet plus, there is actually something causing light, but it's not a torch or lantern or anything like that. Someone want to give me a nature check?
Natural 20 with 26.
You've heard of bioluminescent plants that these obviously are. So in the ceiling of Homestead are bioluminescent plants that you can see.
Give off more of a blue light, or is it more yellow?
It's a bit of a pale light, although at the moment there is a yellowness to it.
Are they the same type of bioluminescent plant? And do I know what sort of type it is and what properties it has? Would that be
You suspect it's one main property right now, with a 26. Okay, you suspect. You've heard that there was a plant that grew down from the goblins. That it's a plant that actually it flares up a little bit more when it's hotter, essentially during the day, and it will give off sort of a little bit of bright light, but then a little bit more dim light. It has to be in clusters for it to give off this light effectively, though. It gives off about 10 feet of bright light, but more about 60 feet of pale light to sort of light up their place, and then it sort of casts a very pale light over the whole area.
And do I know how it grows? Like I can grow bits and pieces?
Yeah, it's attracted to water like other things. It can grow fairly easily underground. It just has to be cultivated. It is something that you do need to intentionally cultivate to have it give off this much light. You know that. So you know that someone at some point has intentionally cultivated this. And as you're looking around town in general, as it opens up, you see buildings. It opens up, the ceiling varies between like 100, 120 feet. There is some worked stone buildings, as you can see, but also this is a large cavern. On your right, as you go, there is a building. As far as you can see that straight away. And up ahead, you can see like a stone pillar, and then another building beyond that, and then even more buildings beyond that. And that's actually further across than you've seen for a while. There is a dim light over pretty much the whole place, except there are long shadows in some areas, I would say. But the light is a combination of lanterns, torches, this bioluminescent light, which is definitely pretty clustered all over the ceiling. Like the whole ceiling seems to be giving off a little bit of light, but there is also clusters of it in the ground as well to sort of contribute to the overall light. So the whole area is sort of cast over, has got a dimness to it, but there are some patches that are still dark. But overall, this is the most well lit of an area you've seen since you've been here.
Okay, well, where's the check-in? I guess the first point is to get ourselves registered.
It's over on the other side. I'll get you over there. Well, that building over there, that's the bunk and tap house. That's where you're probably staying if you want to. I don't think they're going to set you up with like a house. I don't think it's right. There probably isn't anywhere available right now anyway. But yeah, as you go past, over there, just beyond that, is that big building over there, and you see he's pointing to a big building up ahead and to your right. That's like the hall, I suppose, little village hall. Old man Marjorie sort of spends her days there. And then that building on our right, and that's like a smaller building. That's like just a little lockup. I don't hope there's no one in there at the moment, but I wouldn't know.
Jail and a jail.
Yeah, sometimes it's more of like a timeout, to be honest. Like we don't really keep anyone in there long term, or at least I had. The longest I heard of was like a month just to teach someone a lesson.
Why don't you just exile them?
Oh, that happens.
I'm sure if that happens, they'll either end up dead or in Oasis.
Yeah, you got it. There's another building on the left. He says that's just like a house. People live there. It's a extension of the orphanage, really.
How well made are these buildings? Is it kind of more of a shanty town or just like a small village?
These buildings he's pointing out are sort of proper more solid buildings, but there are tents and shanty towns spread throughout as well.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously won't see these buildings, but I'll see the closer ones.
Especially that building on the left that he pointed out, there's lots of tarps and sort of different sort of tents, like made out of. Give me or you wouldn't know with your perception check. You can't really see, but other people can see this.
Yeah.
You can hear people. You can hear people going about their business.
How many children are down here to warrant an orphanage?
Too many. I mean, you got one with you right here. I don't know. He seems fine to be on his own, but they send kids down here. Some of them don't make it, some of them do. To your right, you see a river, a running river going through the middle of this large cave. It's got a couple of bridges crossing it that you've been able to see. And across that river, you can see essentially mushroom farms. Just like patches and patches of mushroom farms. Different farms, but mushroom seems to be the primary focus. But you can give me a perception check if you want.
Yeah, I'll do one. It's my best skills. 21.
Yeah, you don't really know what else they're growing, but there's a wide variety of different mushrooms going on there and other things, and they're basically channeling the river water to sort of help with the damp and the irrigation. But basically on that side of the river seems to be definitely a stronger focus on mushroom farming. But there is still more shantytown sort of elements, but the buildings are a little bit more sparse. There are a couple of larger buildings there as well.
Fair enough.
There's also a bigger, a platform of rock, and there is a statue standing there. It is a statue of a dwarf. And that's basically got sort of lots of mushrooms growing around it. With your perception, though, you would notice that a lot of what is working in the mushroom farm are zombies. They just sort of slowly picking mushrooms. Some of it even got mushrooms growing out of them. Actually, a lot of them have mushrooms growing out of them. Most of them have mushrooms growing out of them.
Okay then. Interesting.
Looks like you, Thistle.
Just a little bit.
That's the friendly herd. They just mostly pick up the mushrooms. They don't really kick up a fuss. Every now and then they get a little bit riled up, but normally it's not too much of a thing.
They don't have much of a mind of their own, or
They don't really. Yeah, they just sort of just do what they're directed to do. As long as you sort of get them moving, they'll kind of keep on doing that normally. I don't know what was up with the others.
I look around and farms, there's running water, there's some sort of structure here, political at least it seems. Are your people mainly self-sufficient, or do you often have to leave town and in order to gain resources and things?
We're a little bit self-sufficient, but We do need people to go out. I like people like myself, people like Bandan. Yeah, we have to head out from time to time. And people like Orion. They try to be self-sufficient, but they're not quite there. And plenty of dangers out there as well.
Orion found that out, indeed.
Kind of defenses do you guys have? Like, do you guys have like a militia or a town guard of some sort?
Mostly just volunteers. Mad Margie leads them from the hall. Mostly more what you saw back there. A few different types. Most of the humans tend to stay around in town because it's easier to see.
No dark vision, huh?
It's easier having people that can see in the dark out there on the edges. Safer in many ways.
So I think you've mentioned before that like you trading is the economy here. There isn't any currency, or is there a main resource that's more valuable in this area?
Resources are resources. Coins aren't worth a lot down here. Gems are worth a little bit more, but survival skills are better. They'll take your gems over at the shop, but they won't give you as much as you might like for them.
How do you guys like collect and distribute resources then?
It's sort of on a just as needs basis. Orion and Anari sort of took care of that. But everyone helped out. And everyone still has their stuff. Just we help out the people that need it. That's why Orion went and tried to get people, because they needed help getting back here.
So who assesses who needs more help and who needs less help? And
Most people just need a meal, somewhere to sleep. That's basic all you're gonna get for the most part down here. Unless you contribute a little bit more, and then you see
if you contribute more,
what do you got, what do you need. It still works the same way. It just works a little bit more community minded.
well, if I'm trying to build a rail system, I mean that's just going to take a lot of resource.
You'd have to convince everyone, or the people that are important at least, that was an important thing, and then figure out a way to get stuff, I suppose. You could start with the shop, but I don't imagine they'd have the resources for that. And I think they probably prefer using that stuff to improve the town. But most people just live in hammocks and tents around here.
You don't think an income resource that's sent across this whole entire area would be a valuable commodity to this area? I mean, you have to grow. And to grow, you need people to have skills to build things.
I dare say there's a lot of track in them mines. It's just most of it's abandoned. I reckon you have to convince people to go in there and cut it up. And you'd have to train those people and all that stuff. It sounds like a lot of work.
Well, it seems like a lot of work just to feed people to sit around every day and do nothing.
Well, if we can convince the council that this is something in their needs, then that's what they'd be contributing.
Not all of the mushroom farmers are zombies, by the way. There's like probably a third are still other humanoids that are sort of directing these zombies, for the most part.
I think there just needs to be a little bit of city planning and a bit of development, and we could probably get things moving.
There are other places out there. There's a goblin camp. They ain't as friendly as the goblins down here. They never left, you see. They stay down here. They'll talk to you, but they're not friendly.
Maybe I could talk to them.
You could try, I suppose. They're a few days away from here.
Do they raid and take resources from you?
They're territorial for sure. They definitely want tribute if you're going through there. They'll want something. They might want to keep some of your gold for them, I suppose. They're still greedy little fuckers. Some people like more than others, gold and whatnot. Some people don't see the value so much.
That sounds like an easy proposition. If you have gold, give it to them and trade for their resource. Obviously, you don't value gold.
We haven't really had anyone that had that idea. I'm sure. I mean, they got plenty of gold over at the shop. Maybe you convince them to part with it. They still take it. They take of it for basic stuff.
Maybe we
The
can
place-
trade in these gems we found for some gold.
Maybe, like I say, there's a lot of stuff going on down here. Things ain't really. Oasis and gaining power, and we sort of have been pretty cut off recently. Especially now with Orion missing. See.
Waste is gaining power because they have a mission. They have a purpose. And I feel like here we just need some sort of direction. We could really excel.
I mean, sure. I don't know if relaying train track is the best use of our time, but I mean, look, if you can somehow figure out a way to get some people, especially some of the zombie trainers, to help you out and figure out a way to get the zombies to help, that would be the way to do it.
Oh, how much farther to the councilwoman's place?
It's just up ahead. You walk past, there's another building on your left, which is just a bit more in disrepair. It seems to be currently got stationed by guards, just people with weapons, basic weaponry, bows, crossbows, and the like. It doesn't look, it doesn't seem like it would rain here a lot. So, although there is like moisture and dampness because of all the mushroom farm. So occasionally you are getting dripped on, but it's not rain. So you can tell why people would appreciate having a tent or a tarp above their head just to avoid being dripped on by the damp. Because all the mushrooms that are giving off the bioluminescence up top. Essentially giving off the occasional drip.
All right, well let's go inside, I guess.
Okay, so up after you pass this sort of guard station, up ahead you see a fence made out of stone that sort of starts in a building up on the left in the leftmost corner, and behind that fence you see animals. An odd sort of motley collection of animals. You spot enough goats to be a family, a couple of pigs, some chickens. It's a motley collection of different farm animals. They're sort of guarded by a pair of dogs. Well, no, they are guarded by a pair of dogs. You don't see any horses or anything like that. These are animals that are smaller than a horse, but you see animals.
Is there any vegetation?
Or do they just seem to be eating the mushrooms?
So they're just mushrooms, moss and mushrooms. Probably some root vegetables that they're able to grow here with the aid of some just general heat rather than sunshine. Maybe they get some magical help, or maybe they're just specially designed to grow underground. I think there are some root vegetables that don't need light, like rhubarb for one. Rhubarb hates light.
And chickens? Are there chickens amongst them?
Yep, there's chickens, there's goats, there's pigs, there's dogs. They seem to be mostly confined to this one area. You give me a perception check if you want to see anything else.
15.
Did you notice that there are some other areas? You don't notice. You notice a couple of cats, and you notice a couple of sort of smaller boxes that look like things are being trapped in or caught in.
Perhaps the rats, perhaps?
Perhaps
Next to the cats?
we check out. You've seen lots of rats down here. Give me an intelligence check.
23.
It does occur to you that rats are most likely the most sustainable meat source down here. Sustainable and reliable meat source down here.
Hey, the goats produce the milk, and the chickens are the eggs, and the rats the protein.
Mushrooms do the rest. Yeah, you can see how people live down here.
Freshwater supplies.
Like, yeah, and occasionally you get to have some pig. But it's probably a big deal when the pigs get cut up for meat.
Ah, what I'd give for bacon and eggs.
We only spot 2 pigs. And it occurs to you that like they could have gotten down here from a variety of reasons. Maybe they fell down holes and just got stuck down in the chute area. Maybe people smuggled them down here. Maybe they've been down. Maybe they were sent. Like you guys were sent down here with supplies. Maybe in some of the earlier things, people were just like, "Here, here's a chicken." But for whatever reason, there is a small amount of animals here. You spot at least half a dozen chickens. And on the left, you see a building which is a little bit more ornate than some of the other places. This whole place is, all the buildings as such are made out of stone, fairly architectural, well built. Obviously, this place is fairly old, and most of these have lasted most of the test of time, except for that sort of guardy house, which was a little bit, there's a little bit of crumbles to that building, but it was still mostly intact. This building you see up on your left has obviously been repaired a little bit, in fact, at some point. But the bits that haven't been patched repaired, you see like a hole. You see a hole in the wall, which has obviously been repaired at some point in the last sort of 20 to 30 years. The rest of the building is quite ornate. It has like filigree. Well, it has like etchings. Maybe not etchings, like design where there would have been space to put like more ornate filigree and stuff, but it's obviously been stripped. But it looks like someone put a lot of effort into the architecture of this building at one point in time, but it has since been gutted and then slightly rebuilt, and then added on like this massive fence with all the animals behind it.
Well, let's go see these council and check in.
Yeah, you see a couple of humans, just with like spears and shields and basic armor, sort of guarding the place. In the field with the animals, you see a couple of people wearing robes, just sort of hanging out and doing that. And Campbell says, "Oh yeah, this is the church. Look, I'll take this armor and the sword, and I reckon I'll just go speak with her, and you just hang out for a little bit.
You're embarrassed by us.
Just be easy. Be easier if I can go in and let her know. I suppose she might want to have a moment. I was sent with a specific purpose in mind.
I happen to be very charming.
I know, Twink. I know, but she doesn't know you. You're a lot of new people. She's under a lot of stress, kind of in charge of this whole place. Her husband has most likely died. I'll get you guys to fill in the rest of the story, but I'll tell her the basics about how you found it. It was in the goo, right? In the ooze?
Yes.
Yeah. I reckon Orion should have been able to deal with something like that, so it doesn't check out completely, but
It was rather gelatinous. The cube.
yeah, I reckon like the damage to the armor, it wasn't rusty like this. So that makes sense that it would have gotten rusty in the cube. Something doesn't smell right though. I don't know what, but she might have questions for y'all.
All right then.
Give me 5 minutes, probably. If I ain't out in 10 minutes, yeah. Don't come in after me. I'll be fine. But be patient. Should only be a few minutes.
Weak. Why you gotta give Candle such a hard time?
I'm not giving him a hard time. He just left us out here. And I wanted to meet the people.
Oh, he's gonna have to be a shoulder to cry on for a little bit, I think. Sounds like she's going through a rough time, and losing her husband like she did, she's probably not going to want strangers to see her break down a little.
I'm sure she's fine. There's probably plenty of husbands and bachelors around here.
It's not easy to see a loved one pass away. So I can kind of relate what she's going through at the moment. So, yeah, just don't push.
Golems used to lose their husbands and wives like every second week.
That curious nature has helped us a lot and continues to. But sometimes not asking the right questions is important as well. Pick your times, buddy. This place is strange. I certainly don't trust it yet.
As you say that, a human male comes out, relatively average-looking features, brown hair. Says, hello, newcomers I see. My name's Waylon. Who might you all be?
I'm Thistle.
Tweak, Thistle, right.
I'm Callum.
Callum, all right. What about you?
Miss Sorrel?
Baraka Sorrel, all right. And what about you, child?
I am no child. My name is Chuck.
Right. I see. Yes. You must have gone through a lot to get here. Can you tell me something about how you made your way here?
With great difficulty.
Did you make it through the Mushroom Forest? We haven't had anyone make it through the chute from through there for some time.
Yes, but we're going to inform Inari exactly what happened, so I'm sure you'll hear from her how we got here.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm a third, I suppose, here. I don't know. So hierarchy's a bit silly, I think, sometimes, but haven't seen much of the second in command here. He went out with Orion. Is Orion coming back?
No, he's probably dead.
Oh no.
Speak.
I'm sure Inari will have much to say. Well, that is terrible to hear. All right. Well, I suppose I'll leave you to it. I'll go tend to I've got to go tend to some things. But pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you around.
What did you say you did here, Waylon?
I'm basically, possibly the second main head acolyte, I suppose, of the church here.
The church worship any god in particular?
Oh, I don't really worship the same god as Inari, if that's what you mean. I like the dwarfs. I saw the dwarf god here, and I was able to reach out and make a connection. His name is Sheldwar.
Is that the statue out there, Sheldwar?
Yeah, that's him. And that's who this temple was originally made for.
Was it made by the dwarves?
Yeah. So I thought it was made sense for me.
What sort of god is Sheldwar?
He's all right. He sort of, I don't talk to him very much, but I've had a couple of moments. I know he's real. He likes architecture. He likes resources. That sort of thing.
You're not very pious for somebody that's second in charge. You're a church, nonetheless. I would have expected more, I don't know, revelry or piety or...
Truth be told, I've only been worshipping Sheldwar for the last 4 years, I think it's been. I came down here not too long ago, really. I've just sort of worked my way up to this position. I don't know. I suppose I've just been useful.
Are there other religions in this area?
Of course, we don't discriminate religions here. Inari's the most
Churches too?
What's that? Sorry.
Do they have churches as well?
There's various shrines in the temple. It's Anari's main thing is Triton, but that's just her deal. Anyway, I do have places to be, but it was a pleasure meeting you.
I'm sure we'll see you around.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure I might see you later tonight. I tend to do a lot of laps of this place. And he disappears down pretty much the way you guys just came from, towards the village hall that you've been told about.
Didn't even have a book to give us.
A book?
You know, those little books that they give you on the corner of the road. I remember as a kid. Every religion had books.
It occurs to you that this isn't a great place for books, with all the damp.
Or at least like a, I don't know, figurine of the god or something that sort of try to pull people into the religion.
Might not be enough people here to do that.
I think there's just enough people to build a nice strong cult following.
Don't get ideas.
At this point, Candle comes out and it says, "All right, then. I suppose she's ready to see you now. If you want to come in,
Where should we leave this barrow?
you can just leave it here. The guards can look after it." And there's a couple of human guards just with spears and shields and some basic armor, and they can just leave it with them. We'll take care of it. It's fine.
Cheers, guys.
All right.
Should take the news okay before we go in there?
Yeah, she's all right. She pretty much figured that was the case, but she's still not livid about it. She does have some questions for y'all though.
Okie dokie.
And you're led through. The church itself is not. It's fairly sparsely decorated, but you do spot little alcoves for various little shrines. It's fairly motley. The whole place is obviously the whole place has got this dwarvish, like architectural stone undercurrent. But over top of that, you have this whole water vibe. There's basically like mini aqueducts have sort of been fashioned through this place, and so water is sort of running around this whole place. So why don't someone give me a religion check?
Religion.
I got a 3.
I got, where is my religion? 14.
3, 14. Anyone doing better than that?
I managed to roll a 17.
So it's okay. So you can't see this, but you're sort of, as you're going through and being led, Callum, you can hear the water moving around this place. It's obviously also a temple for like a water god, or whoever runs this place is really into water. But no, the way it's been set up, it's obviously been designed to channel the water in a specific way that makes sense for religious purposes. You've done a bit of traveling. You sort of have spent a little bit of time around some big watery spots. You know there are watery people.
Only mentioned Trident.
Yeah, so you've heard of the Tritons. They are an underwater people, very proud people, and they are one of the watery peoples, and he was one of the water gods.
I'm guessing there weren't any Tritons in Virtue.
No, you never came across any.
But this woman, she worships Trident.
It would appear so.
Well, Warwick or whatever his name was told us. Waylon just mentioned it.
Oh, you met Waylon? Yeah, he seems to be everywhere.
He said that she she's more fond of Trident, and yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, she likes the water. Anyway, I'm probably just gonna stay out here and leave y'all to it. If you need me, I won't be too far though. I don't really like being in churches, if I'm honest.
Did you want us to meet you at the tap house?
Yeah, I suppose I can meet you there later. I've probably got a couple places I'll check in on. If you need to go to the shop, it's just on the west side of town. You can't miss it.
Okay, see you later.
All right, I'll see you later.
Cheers, Candle.
And he sort of directs you towards a door. It's open. It's like just it's beaded.
I'll open the door with all my might.
What's a motley collection of beads hanging through it like an open door.
Ah, that's
And
the
you hear
smell
a
of
voice.
incense and like jingle as you walk through.
As you hear a voice, as you get closer, you hear a voice saying, "Come, yes, it's best to get this over and done with, I suppose. Come and we can figure out what's happened. I am Inari."
Hi, Anari.
As you step through, you step into a chamber. It's lit by some torches, but it's not. Other than the torches, it's not hugely bright in here. And you see a elf. She is dark-haired and slender. She looks not old for an elf, but it's hard to tell with elf. She's just wearing fairly basic robes at the moment, just with a basic adornment of a trident on them. And she says, so you must be the 5 new people that Candle has helped bring in. I understand you found these. And she gestures to the chainmail and the sword that you found very early on in the game.
Yes, that would be us. And if it means anything, they were of great use to us to get us safely here. So we appreciate Orion's effort, even if it wasn't successful.
That's I understand. I was hoping maybe Candle explained you had various magics at your disposal. I was hoping maybe you'd be able to figure out what happened exactly. You found it in a cube, you say?
Yeah, a big translucent like cube that was all acidic and stuff. I think Tweak here mentioned it was a gelatinous cube.
That's something Orion was powerful. It's something you should have no trouble with. Something like that. I'm sure that was not what took his life, and he was not alone. He went out with 4 others, all powerful in their own right.
If it means anything, we did find a camp that looked abandoned. That it all signs pointed to the fact that they were attacked there. There was blood on the wall.
Really? You say camp, the blood on the wall is attacked. I have heard that there is a camp near the chute for when the people need to rest before traveling onward.
I think it was about 100 feet away from the chute.
Does not bode well.
And, well, we coincidentally stayed there the night too, and we were attacked that very night by Oasis.
By Oasis, you say?
If this has any bearing on Orion's fate, we did not come across this armor and this gelatinous cube alone. We were attacked at the same time. As Callum has said, that goblins, a whole horde of them.
I think it was kobolds. Yeah.
Kobolds, indeed.
Kobolds makes more sense. Goblins tend to be more opportunistic, but the kobolds have been mobilizing in recent times.
There were rats too.
Rats as well, yes.
The rats, you say? And how so?
Oh, they were big rats that nearly killed us. And then
Almost
kobolds nearly
Perhaps,
killed us.
They almost seem to just come out the wall.
I fear we may have a lot for you to do. I would like you to go back where you came and figure out some things once you've rested. Is that something you might be able to do?
If you detail us more on this figuring out, sure.
Well, I suspect that the people of Oasis have been. Well, we know that the people of Oasis have an alliance with the spiders. I suspect they may have made an alliance with the rats now as well, and they seem to be changing. I think something is afoot with the rats. The kobolds have been mobilizing as of late and have been getting more aggressive as well, looking for more resources. So I'm worried about that, but I fear that Oasis have been gathering their allies and gaining more power, and I do not know what to do. From what Candle said, you went a very indirect way. If you were to go the more direct way, you might encounter many spiders, but I think that you could get there much quicker, within 3 or 4 days, maybe even 2.
We just got here, and you're going to send us back out to that
Not,
hellscape?
not immediately, I understand. It's just, I don't know who else to send. I have things I must tend to here. I'm sure we can find something to make it worth your while. I don't know what you want. Candle wasn't 100%, 100 wasn't fully sure what you wanted to do. Well, he said something about wanting to set up a forge.
Well, I don't know anything about a forge, but we coming back and forth. It'd be easier if we could do it by rail.
Right. Don't have a lot of resources for extra projects right now. We need to, but maybe we could figure something out if that's what you want as a reward for helping this out. I might be able to help sway the people. Sounds like you need like body power or something. You want a rail? There's already a rail out there. What do you need?
Well, we'd wanted to go further. Back the way that we came from.
Right. That seems complicated. Not my forte.
Do you perhaps have resources for us enough to give us board, give us a night's rest, give us some time to talk this over?
I'm not proposing you head out today or even tomorrow. I'm definitely suggest taking a couple of nights, as long as you need. I've already sent. Candle will go arrange you to have a week. No questions asked. Accommodation and food at the Bunkin Tap House as courtesy for finding the armor and the sword. Beyond that, you may need to prove yourselves useful, but from what Candle said, I'm sure that won't be any problem at all. You'll easily be able to do that. As for the rail, it's not something we've ever thought about. We have no engineers. The craftsmen we have are few and far between as it is. We do have the best people to speak to on that subject would be Bandan, since he is a dwarf. This is his original home. But he was exiled for a long time, or perhaps Shognak, and he might have a book.
You're in luck. I'm quite the engineer, and all I need is some muscle, some brainless muscle, to lay down track where I say and how I say, and it should be fine.
Of course. We'll just have to convince the people that it's worthwhile, and you'll probably have to need to convince me, because that will be quite a different allocation of resources, shall we say. Everyone's pretty much stretched in on defense right now, gathering duties. It's happened. We need to spend more people on the gathering missions to the forest these days.
We could defend them.
All right, we just like I say, I think that's this conversation for another day. Child, Chuck, was it?
He's a man. He's proven himself in battle more than once.
If
Indeed.
you're asking for something, try to not use that word. He sometimes doesn't like it.
All right.
I always don't like it.
I apologize, Chuck.
Just said he cries so much, maybe.
No, Candle said you were good. He just referred to you as the kid. You will have my protection while you are here, but I cannot lie to you. There may be elements of the city that will not be thrilled by your presence. I would not recommend going to the Tiefling Quarter due to old tensions, but I will not stop you from going there.
Even for tieflings.
You
Under advisement.
you are. I can see you are well armed and armored. You will have my protection. This is each directing to you now, Baracus. You will have my protection as well. Candle said that you returned this armor. There will be some tensions, but I do not think there will be anyone that would necessarily try to pick a fight with you. I would hope not, but perhaps I do not have as much control as I once did. Who knows? But I think you should be safe.
If they pick a fight with either, they're picking a fight with all of us. They'll get to know quite quickly that that was a bad idea.
Perhaps.
And that in itself might be the problem. I will not go anywhere where looking for a but if a fight comes to us,
Perhaps stay on this side of the river for now. It is probably easier. The people on the other side of the river are a little bit simpler, a bit more old-fashioned. Some of them have not been here for as long. They still allow old tensions to run hot. And I'm sure there are factions that would be. Hopefully, they do not think too much of. Tensions are high with Orion missing. That's all I would need to say right now.
well, let's see if we can hold on to our welcome for at least 24 hours.
He was my husband, you see. He's the reason a lot of us made it here. He was doing runs for some time, and a lot of people have him to thank for getting him here.
But it certainly wouldn't surprise me then if Oasis was involved, if he was that much of an important figure.
Indeed. Could have been a way to destabilize things here, perhaps. That's why I'm hoping you'd be willing to go back and investigate further. But I do not. I'm sure you need a break from your journeys. I'm sure you will enjoy having a cooked meal and fresh water. Maybe even enjoy a drink. I do not recommend the serpent venom, but if that's what you want, then it is one way to spend the evening. Do you have any questions for me at this stage?
We got a whole barrow full of loot out the front. Who's best to take that to? Who'd be needing the scrap parts, metal, wood?
We're always after donations. I'm happy to take any donations. You can take donations to the hall. If you're wishing to trade, you can take them to the Swift Hands. That's up to you, entirely up to you. We could use more building materials, but it's up to you.
Well, we might see what they've got to offer, because we might need some things if we're going back out, but maybe whatever's left we can donate. I'll have to chat with the rest of us.
Of course, as I say, we try to help each other out down here, but we don't force anyone to give up anything if they don't want to. We may ask strongly. Is that all?
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, be on your best behavior. Do not attack anyone. Do not kill anyone. People will be upset if you do.
It's all right. We won't attack unless we're attacked, and we won't kill them. We will just knock them out if we have to.
I would appreciate that. We need. Some people might be misguided, but we need all the bodies we can, and I'm sure we can make them see the error of their ways if they were to do such a thing. I'm here. You can speak. I have very few acolytes. You can, if you need to see me again. I'm usually somewhere back here, but I'm often doing various things to make sure that this place runs efficiently. I recommend speaking with Marjorie at some point. She's in the main hall. But for now, I'm sure Candle can help get you set up at the tapas.
All right. Well, I think we're done here. Do you want to get some snake venom?
I like the way you
Yep.
think.
Who else is for a flagon of variant venom?
Condolences. Sorry for your losses, and we'll get back to you in a couple days.
I appreciate that. Well, enjoy your time. I seriously do not have too much of the snake venom. It is not safe in large quantities. But enjoy an evening of rest. I'm sure it's well deserved. And thank you for bringing these back to me.
Well met.
And that's where we'll end the episode, I think. Very roleplay heavy, but we haven't had one for a while. Introducing a few characters of this little village that you will call home for at least the next couple of nights, it seems.
Very well.
That's it for this episode of the High or Lows podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter at High or Lows with underscores between the words, or you can find me at Phoebster.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed listening, please leave us a 5-star rating and review, which is one of the best ways you can support us. You can also join the discussion on our Reddit and Facebook pages, or even our Discord server, and maybe play some games with us. Links can be found in the description below. Special thanks to Sirenscape for the background audio and Alex McPherson for providing the opening theme. I hope you can all join us next time as we continue on our adventure.